This is The Block-O, an exciting reality TV show where we take the issues of HIV and AIDS to the block in your community. I'm Andy and I'm your host. And over the next few weeks we'll be visiting 12 communities throughout Grenada, talking to the guys on the block on the issues of HIV and AIDS. Subject as transmission, prevention, at the end of the day, keeping yourself safe and remaining HIV/AIDS free. Our first stop takes us to Montreach. We're actually next to Lake Shop, and that's where we're going to be talking to the guys.
Well, I hope all the guys will agree with me. Yes, we have to be careful with the HIV. Jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up, you run, jump up.
Please, I want you to stick around, because if you move, you are going to be missing out. Remember, this is The Block-O. We'll be right back.
It's back! The National Lotteries Authority's Back to School Scratch promotion kicks off from August 15th to September 3rd. This year, the NLA is giving away shopping vouchers of $250 for school supplies at Grenada's Teachers School Supplies on St. John Street in St. George's, or at Cathwell Stationery Services on Sindel Street in Grenville. Just gather and staple 2 non-winning scratch tickets. Write your name, address, and phone number on each and place them in the scratch branded box at any of our lottery dealers in the Tri-Island State. 5 draws will be done on Wednesdays every week for 3 weeks, and you, yes you, can be our lucky winner of each draw. So scratch away with NLA today. The more you enter, the more chances you have to win a total of $3,750 in the NLA's Back to School promotion. Win easy with Scratch. NLA, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
When you hear about HIV, what do you feel?
Well, when I hear about HIV, I know it's a detrimental thing to your system, and I think it's best that we know that we're safe and find out ways in protecting ourselves and to dealing with HIV and how to deal with people who have HIV.
And that's what this campaign is about, bringing the issue of HIV/AIDS to the community.
Okay, and that's a good thing, you know. I would like to know and try to get all my friends involved and let them know that, okay, there's HIV, it's a real thing, it's out there, and we need to stay safe and need to get all the most information as we possibly can, you know.
Information is what's here, but in fact we have, actually, we have peer educators here with us. We have Norman and Tracy, and of course we have Dr. Francis Martin, so we have a lot of information that we can share.
So when you take the test and you're positive, once you take the medication as you should, at one point in time you won't, like, you know you have it, but then they can't even find it even though they test you again. Is that true?
Right now we have a very perfect example in the world right now. Everybody heard of Magic Johnson and so on. They had HIV and what have you. But the medications are quite good, and if the medication are taken properly and consistently, then the numbers of the virus in your body can get so low that the test wouldn't even be able to see anything in your body. So it's not like you don't have it. You have the virus, but it's just that you can't find it in the blood because it's really, really low. And what we have noticed over the years is that the higher the number of the virus in your body is the sicker you become. So in other words, if you keep the number real low, you could be living a normal life, and that is important for people to understand, you know. So guys don't have to be scared about them kind of things.
A fundamental point to add to what the doctors already indicated is that of how you eat, what kind of food choices you make along with the medication is very important. You know, you need to look at your overall nutrition. Even if you're taking the medication, you need to ensure that you eat the right foods at all times to remain as healthy as possible.
Exercise and eating the right food, because foods help your immune system to be really strong. Interestingly, exercise also helps the immune system to be really, really good. And the thing about young people is that you don't have to worry about exercising. Young people have a lot of energy. You'll be able to do a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure you guys do stuff around here. What y'all do?
Football, cricket,
What do you do?
Well, for me, everything. I'll do everything.
So I'm really glad all you come out to really let them know. Right. They know, okay, come and take a test, but they don't know really, you know, how important it is.
Right.
Oh, let us go and take an AIDS test. So you go and take your AIDS test, but nobody really explained to them to the fullest. Right. So everybody have this fright. So it's a really good thing in coming out and explaining to them so they have more knowledge. So I guess as much, some of them will willing to do the test now.
Right. So if you do the AIDS step and you're positive, right? How would the treatment will be like? You get treatment, why you have to pay for it or it's free or whatever? Or is it available?
You're not doing an AIDS test, You're doing an HIV, HIV test. I know antiretroviral treatment is free here. Yes, it is. So once you get tested at your health clinic, medical station or so, and you tested positive, then you have access to the drugs.
When you go to take an AIDS test, you would have somebody to counsel you before you do the AIDS test at all times, or as he was saying, you could go to the medical station, but I know it have sometimes when you go, it have people to counsel you before you take the test. So I want to know if it's at all times you will be having somebody, because when I went to do mines, the counseling was really good. Is that what make me have the confidence to do the test?
Once you're going to get testing, there's counseling before and after.
When you're doing the test, when I went, they don't write your name. So you don't, even though you're positive, nobody knows who is who. You know, they have a certain, what they using them? A code. So they don't write your name. So even though you have it, nobody else don't know when, well, should he have it or whatever.
How long you think someone would live if they have HIV? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. You make us something no grieving too?
Yeah, that's a very important point, because if you're grieving, you might live 4 or 5 years.
Well, proper treatment, exercising and all anything, then you most likely live, I would say up to 20 years, baby. 20 years. And more, yeah.
Alright. Well, for me, if I live to see for AIDS and live to see for the rest of my life, I don't want to die.
Right. No, but HIV positive and AIDS two different things, right?
Yeah.
HIV positive we're talking about.
Yeah, HIV positive.
So you can live a normal, healthy life once you take a treatment.
Right. Yeah. As long as there is the treatment, I think I will live.
Right. Yeah. And that's the important thing I want you to remember. Exercise, eat good food, good positive mind frame.
Healthy eating.
HIV positive. It's basically I know that I'm HIV positive, so my life is going down. I don't know if I'm going to live long enough.
Because everybody feels if
so what kind of ways you think you will be discriminating?
You'll be scanned, you'll be not literally cast, but still people want to be around you, you know?
I say probably like be on your own.
Yeah, that's the fear of most persons who eventually become tested positive. They always believe that the community is going to react in a certain direction to them. Yes,
I can see the difference to the treatment they get from other people in the community, and it wasn't true. They didn't even know she's true, just a rumor. And the way they scan them and all that, I seen that. So I don't want to go through that.
What do you guys believe you can do to help in that process?
So if you educate them on that, they know definitely you cannot catch AIDS by eating or drinking in the same cup or kissing, you know.
People scorn others with HIV because somehow you figure if this person have HIV, you figure you're gonna get it from them. In a funny kind of way, sometimes you figure if I stand up close to that man, I might get HIV. But that's not the case. Yeah. You can shake hands, you can use the same toilet, you can use the same utensil. As a matter of fact, you can kiss a person with HIV and it's not going to be transmitted that way. So there's really no reason to discriminate people like that.
Is a condom? Is it 100%?
No. That's an interesting question. The latest condoms that we have can do a great job in preventing sexually transmitted diseases. And I don't want you to just think about HIV. In that case, you have to think about other sex STDs and infections and so on. And they do a great job. And all of a lot of research that was coming out of the research that we've done showed that people who use condoms safely and properly and consistently have less HIV than people who do not use condoms.
I believe this is a good point for us to take a break.
Right.
But remember, when we get back, we're going to be looking at transmission and prevention. We're going to deal a little bit more with condoms and how we can act to keep ourselves safe.
Good.
This is the Block Home. We'll be right back.
It's back! The National National Lotteries Authority's Back to School Scratch promotion kicks off from August 15th to September 3rd. This year, the NLA is giving away shopping vouchers of $250 for school supplies at Grenada's Teachers School Supplies on St. John Street in St. George's, or at Cathwell Stationery Services on Sindel Street in Grenville. Just gather and staple 2 non-winning scratch tickets. Write your name, address, and phone number on each and place them in the scratch branded box at any of our lottery dealers in the Tri-Island State. 5 draws will be done on Wednesdays every week for 3 weeks, and you, yes you, can be our lucky winner of each draw. So scratch away with NLA today. The more you enter, the more chances you have to win a total of $3,750 in the NLA's Back to School promotion. Win easy with Scratch. NLA, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Notebooks, laptop, Flow Broadband.
Help your child achieve more by staying connected to the world. Whether it's a paper for English class or research project for science, Flow Broadband offers you the fastest speeds and lowest prices. Sign up today and get free installation and chances to win cool back-to-school prizes like an iPad 2, free broadband service, and amazing back-to-school supplies from Catwills, Digicel, and Foodland. Sign up for Flow Broadband. Help your child become a Flow Cool Kid today. Full terms and conditions apply. Flow. Watch, talk, click.
Hey, I'm Nicoyan, and while Andy's on the block hanging with the guys, I wanted to get to know a little bit more about the Montreach community. Now we're standing in the vicinity of the Carvestone, one of the largest and most visited historical sites in the parish. Now I'm here with LUANN, one of the backbones of the Montreach community, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about the Carvestone and other historical sites in the parish.
Thank you very much, Nicoyan, and it's our pleasure to have you here at Montreach. As you said, our Carvestone is the most famous indigenous rock on the island. We can also take you to the slave pen that's across the road, and we can also have you visiting our old Anglican church. Also our chimney. In times gone by, we used the chimney to grind our cocoa, and you would see the smoke exhaling from that chimney. What a beautiful sight.
No, it's good that you talk about the cocoa, because I understand that Montreach is an agricultural community. Most of the men are involved in farming and so on. Can you tell us a little bit more of the crops you produce and so on?
Yeah, right here at Montreach, you can find your cocoa, nutmeg, banana, and our famous spices. Nowhere else to get it more than here in Montreach.
Now we spoke about the historical sites, the fact that y'all are deep in agriculture. Is there anything else that Grenada should know about y'all?
Sure. You cannot come to Montreach and not be a part of the activities of sporting. We have football, netball, basketball. We can also find the elderly men just to the side of the road, just knocking off with dominoes and card playing. So these are the sporting activities and adventures that you can really find when you come here at Montreach.
Thank you so much, LUANN. Now, from being in Montreach, I realized that there's this deep community spirit that I want to be a part of. But say what, we need to get back to Annie on the block with the guys.
We are talking about transmission. How we can remain safe and make sure that our young men especially remain HIV free. Right? Because that is the key. The safest is to be HIV free. We know that people are living longer with it, but we'll be even safer without it.
One question to ask.
Yeah, but that's a question. No problem.
What about the condom, about the treatment?
Treatment,
It's like, in terms of different, like a different type of treatment. For like an average citizen like me, and like somebody like a celebrity or whatever, we have money. You understand? Like Magic Johnson, I know from small, I know he HIV positive. I know he looking strong, big, strong man still. So, what is the difference? Like, is there a difference in this treatment?
I don't want us to get hooked up on treatment per se, but let's talk about lifestyle. What happens with Magic Johnson, even if he had the best cutting edge technology tablets, if he didn't eat well and exercise, he'll still not be as good as he is today. So it's a package. You have to have good lifestyle in terms of eating the right foods and exercising a lot, and he does a lot.
The right food still, and still my life is just buying them because probably treating again like not first class as he's getting.
Well, let's just face it. Different companies manufacture different drugs for HIV. But what we are sure about is the treatment options that we have here in Grenada is excellent, and it is what is used in the most parts of the world.
It's working.
And it's working. Right. And that's the important thing. It is working. So, you know, you don't have to be worried about...
You know, personally, people are in the treatment for a long time and still...
You see, if you had to buy it, then you could have asked that question, because people have, you know, money. They're not able to have enough money to buy certain type of medicines. But because we're getting it free, we're able to get actually the best medicines on the market. All right, so don't worry about that.
So the medicine that is offered locally
is good.
It's good.
Basically.
And it keeps you healthy for a long time. It is fine to talk about treatment, but it is even better if we can prevent ourselves from contracting the virus. So how do we prevent ourselves from contracting the virus? Anybody?
It's pretty obvious.
Condoms, abstinence.
Okay. Condom for me, because you can't abstain. No. Like nature, God plot in us. We need sex.
What do you think about this? What do you think is the best way to do with that?
Well, for me, use my condom right too. Huh? Well, my condom for safety.
I know one good way.
Abstinence.
Yeah, can you stay away?
No.
The one good way to prevent yourself from catching HIV positive, have one partner you could trust. Make sure you do a test with them before you whatever get married, and leave that person forever. And there's no one in the world that could ever contract HIV.
Once you're both negative.
Yeah, because once you have a partner you could trust.
Yeah.
And you know,
you might trust her, but then you don't know what she's doing behind your back, so you still...
I said trust. You just gain trust like that.
Of course,
to work on trust.
Wow.
Yeah. I think you're making an excellent point. The issue of making sure that both yourself and your partner is tested. Sometimes you might want to ask yourself, even if you're faithful, what did your partner come into the relationship with? And it's important to be tested, you know, together with your partner before you decide to make sexual decisions like that. Yeah.
I was wondering, so if like you happen to pick up a girl, you were not aware that she's HIV positive, but you never really even concerned about that, you just there, you're not going on, but then something wrong in your mind that, okay, let me get tested, and she happened to be positive. What do you think is the best thing you should do as a man?
If you don't catch it yet, leave.
If you don't have it,
contract yet, leave.
And if you don't have it yet, but let me say you build this thing, you know, you decide, okay, you're going to go the next step into getting marriage, and then you decide, okay, let me get tested.
All right.
I think you're asking a real deep question, deep in the sense that, you know, you're placed in a position where you have to make a decision whether or not you should discriminate against your partner, or whether or not you yourself might be at a risk of exposure. I think the fundamental issue is ensuring that you at least try to be non-discriminatory as possible. As your colleague said, if you have not yet contracted it, then you need to find ways of preventing yourself from becoming infected. Of course, and if you are both infected, there are a number of things you can do as a result. You know, ensuring that you have safe sex still to avoid reinfections, ensuring that you receive the counseling. The Ministry of Health obviously have assistance you can get in this regard. But it's a real deep question. I mean, I am wondering myself as you ask, what is it I may do, you know, in terms of my own personal behavior. But I think it's something that you have to weigh your options and ensure that you understand each other, and as a result, you can better be able to, you know, to move on from there. Yeah.
Partners contract HIV still have to have protected sex.
Yes.
Can we recommit you?
But you have it there.
Cases of
you can have reinfection.
Yeah, there is a thing called reinfection.
There is something called reinfection, which means that you already have HIV, that's the first infection, and then if you go having sexual intercourse with somebody else who has it, you get it again.
Yes. Let me explain why this is the case. This is the case because HIV, there is HIV 1, HIV 2. In other words, there are different strains of HIV. strains of HIV. So there are different strains, and what is even worse is one strain may react to the medication that is used, but another strain may be resistant to the medication that is used. So if you have, and your partner have HIV, you still need to use a condom, because if you get reinfected with a strain that is resistant to the medication, that's it. You understand what happened there?
Yeah. Okay.
So you still got
first time I learned the other day. I see like, you know,
viruses like to behave that way. They have different strains of them.
All right, so at this point we're going to take a break again. When we get back, we're going to be looking for the issues of stigma and discrimination, looking at the rights of the individual, to confidentiality, to get treatment, to get a test. Right, but again, we are loving it here. Coming live from Montreach. We have some lively discussions, some very intriguing questions, and some very fast vehicles. Alright, so again, this is the Bloco. HIV is information, HIV is education, live from the block. We'll be right back.
Talk all day and all night this summer. Get Flow's voice service now and get free installation, free cordless phone and free activation of Flow Connect, so your friends and family in Canada, the United States and the United Kingdom can call you for free all day and all night. So let Flow connect you to your world with the most affordable home phone service and talk all day and all night for next to nothing. Flow terms and conditions apply. Flow. Watch, talk, click.
There ain't no place like Huggins. You could always count on Huggins. And what's of great importance, Grenadians own it all. Insurance or shipping, paint or grocery shopping. For whatever you're looking, Huggins answer your call. Huggins for your dollar. Huggins peace of mind. Huggins for your travels. Huggins all the time. Huggins is the leader. Huggins is the best. Huggins with experience. Huggins with the rest.
Well, what I want us to focus on right now is the issue of stigma and discrimination. You know, the right of persons living with the virus. You know, to simple things as privacy, you know, treatment, the right to live as everybody else. No, so I want to talk about the issue of stigma and discrimination. How do you think someone living with the virus wants to be treated? If it were you,
to live
with HIV, how do you think you would want to be treated?
Like a normal human being, as everybody else.
Walk the road with my head high and proud. I shouldn't be able to duck and hide and say, oh, you think I'm my age, so I'm not a human, I'm an animal.
So stress and you need a problem, you can't live free. When you have a problem on your mind, you know.
When you're easy, like a problem.
So you're saying living with the virus is already a stress?
That's stress.
And you think it's going to add to the stress if people are treating you negatively?
That will happen, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So then how do we deal with that? How do we
cut that off? Should find a place now to just put everybody at that age on one side.
Why discriminating right now? Why so?
Because if I do eyes on the man eyes and the clothes, I don't feel properly.
That when you make them get more things?
How would you feel if you or the person who are HIV positive?
I mean, if I know he is, I feel sorry for him, but that's for me.
Put you somewhere separate from everybody else?
No, I don't say like separate me, but still like, knowing he is, I can't see around my pain because you get people go just every day bother any man, plus he had the stress on him and he has AIDS already, you know. If I know it, you know it. We mightn't tell him, but we go sit and talk about it, and slowly we might tease him. So I say no, instead of like he out in the public now, walking and thinking he good, and I talking about it, you talking about it, and after now, I still go tease him, better put him somewhere for himself.
Do you think that part of that is because people don't know how they can get HIV?
Not really. When HIV just came out and people wasn't aware, there wasn't educated about HIV, and just like, you know, we think if you're gonna rush somebody, they're gonna catch HIV or whatever. I think that's the reason why from way back, and they still have that in them. That's the reason why people still discriminate against people with HIV. Because I show people is aware that you can't catch it from kissing, touching, and all that, but still, that just did them from long.
I was actually going to get to that. With all the education, how is that education transfer into behaviors, you know? treating people with the virus. People are still shunned. People are still, move away from.
The guy thinking like they wrong him now. I could catch it from him just so, because long time now they tell you could get transmitted by rubbing a man with Uber bruise and something, So why you saying I don't understand it?
The reason why your perception is like that is like your colleague has said a while ago, that was old thinking and old thoughts. But right now, we know so much more now. As a matter of fact, we know a lot, and you could touch that man, you could hold his hand, you can use the spoon or utensils that he used.
Now we understand now, so we know how to deal with it now. When we go to school, that we hear, what tell you that we hear when we go to school,
So now you know that in.
So now what you saying, and what we know long ago, like two different things, So now I could live with him comfortable, even though he is I could come and give him a hug and give him a bounce and watch nothing.
So you want to put him away somewhere now?
No, right now.
I think I want to ask an important question based on how the discussion is heading. How exactly do you think HIV can be spread? And that's fundamental for us to understand. So that we don't have difficulties in perceptions. How exactly do you think HIV can be spread?
To sex and by needles.
Sharing needles.
Sharing needles, man. What is it?
Not a kiss, like a deep kiss.
Mouth, tongue in mouth.
Tongue in mouth.
No. The theme of unprotected sex, of course, it can be unprotected, but it also has to be one of the persons have to be infected. Right? So that's one fundamental key that we need to focus on. You speak also of intravenous drug use, or using needles. And we know some drug users would take drugs, through the veins. And the sharing of needles can cause the spread of HIV. Apart from that, two methods. There are also other methods of which persons can become infected, right? We have mother to child. So there is more than one method of contracting HIV, right? And these are the main methods that we have to speak about and clarify the misconceptions that the hugging, the touching, the kissing, the sharing, the plate or the bowl or the plate or the spoon can cause HIV infection.
Yes, and that's important. And we need to continue to reinforce that idea. And each one of you would tell your friends that, listen, this whole idea ain't true anymore. The mother-to-child transmission is a big issue, not just for HIV, for other things as well. One of the good things, however, is that in our health system in Grenada now, every pregnant woman gets an HIV test, so that we can now be assured of the status of mother and the children as well. From all the research that has done as well, it shows that up to 30% of children are born to positive mothers are negative when they are born. So your baby would not necessarily have HIV even if the mother is HIV positive. But the other thing is, remember we talk about the medication? If she's on medication, the virus levels get so low in the body. That's one of the ways to prevent it as well.
So at what stage of the pregnancy should a woman?
They get as early as possible.
Like first?
Yeah, during the first month. Yeah, we can test them. And then, of course, they get tested again somewhere around, let's say about 6-7 months, they get tested again. So they get tested twice in the pregnancy.
So what's the difference between HIV positive and AIDS?
All right, the question is asking is what's the difference between HIV positive and AIDS? HIV positive simply means you have a virus. AIDS is a condition in which the body starts to succumb to the virus because your immune system gets knocked out. So, right, so any little flu or cold or gastro, something like that, will just knock you out and get you really, really sick. You see, if there is a person who has been HIV positive, has never been on medication, he might progress into AIDS quickly. You get them at that stage and start treating them aggressively. You can bounce them back because you can take care of the infections that they're having, get the immune system back on board. However, if someone has been on treatment and, for some strange reason they're on treatment but they're still not doing very well, that is a little bit more difficult to deal with. But, the good news is, if you're having symptoms and you take your medication and you have good care, it is possible that you can get back. We have had some people who've gone back and forth. Yeah.
I believe the key to it is knowing your status. Right? If you know your status, then you can act accordingly. If your status says that you're negative, then you can act and protect yourself so that you remain negative. If you're positive, then you can ensure that you access the treatment and you remain as healthy as possible.
All of us sitting here and standing here, looking nice and healthy, can have HIV in our bodies, and we have no symptoms. So, like so many other diseases we know, once you wait for symptoms to start,
then it might be too late.
It might be too late. So don't wait for any symptoms because there ain't no symptoms.
Don't look for symptoms. Get yourself tested. This was the Blocko, HIV/AIDS education being brought to the community. And guys, it has been a pleasure. Remember, the key, get yourself tested, know your status, and know where you can obtain treatment. Your local health centers, the General Hospital, we have HOPAs, you can get your drugs, your treatment, and resources for persons living with or those who are affected by HIV. So once again, we are thanking you. Your host, I'm Andy Roberts, thanking you for being part of our discussion on HIV/AIDS. The Blocko, we signing off. Thank you very much.